Hello, welcome to the presentation of Independent Applied Research in Management. The topic of presentation is why are people first about diversity? Does it matters? Going to the introduction starts the topic of diversity, equity, and inclusion, commonly referred as DEI or EDI within a workplace. We begin by highlighting diversity covers a broad range of human differences, including gender, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, disability, and such other things that actually contribute to the workplace that actually gives us a multifaceted and inclusive society. Over recent decades, there has been increased global focus on the strengthening of DEI for productivity and outcomes. However, much of the existing discourse around DEI initiative tends to focus on social aspects such as representation and justice, and often overlooking their strategic relevance to the business source success. This is an important point because understanding and implementing diversity it isn't just a moral or social imperative, it has also direct implication for innovation, competitiveness, and organization goals and their outcomes. The pie chart in the right side it can show that about 56% of people consider DEI or ADI as a positive thing, suggesting a growing acceptance and recognition of its value in a workplace. Lastly, this presentation will explore diversity from multiple angles, including definition, challenges, and the balances between social responsibility and business performance, helping us understand what DEI border significance is. Going to the next slide, coming to the social perspectives of diversity. This slide endorses the social importance of diversity by examining five key aspects. First, equality and representation, which emphasize need for everyone, regardless of their background, to have equal access to employment, leadership, and other such opportunities. Not just about inclusion, but ensuring a fair representation across all levels. Secondly, with its focus on social justice and their represent and anti-discrimination. Historically, if we put or shed a light on American society, the black and the white women, their death rates in the pregnancy-related causes are black women are 50 are about 42 out of 100,000, while that of white was just 13, which is actually an inequality in their healthcare system. Thirdly, inclusive society benefits everyone. Diverse communities foster social cohesion, mutual understanding, and collaboration across different cultures and social groups. Legal perception also plays an important role. Like in UK, there is an Equality Act 2010 provides a legal framework to protect individuals from discrimination and promote equality not in the private, public, and private sector, but in every sphere of life. Finally, recent development shows that diversity and inclusion are evolving areas. Like regulatory authorities continues to discuss how policies can be better support DI while balancing concerns about compliance and implementation. Now, if you look at the business in the next slide, in a business perspective regarding diversity matters, the slide outlines how diversity positively impact organizations from a business standpoint. You first financial performance improved when companies prioritize gender and ethnic diversity. According to the data on the right side there we can see the table that the top quartile is more than that of the lower quartile by 36%. That actually is because of the diverse leadership and better financial outcomes. Next, market competitiveness is enhanced through a diverse workforce, which brings broader insight into various customer demographics. This helps compare tailor their products, service, and marketing strategies to meet diverse consumer needs more effectively. Innovation and creativity also play a vital role in that. When teams are made up of individuals from different backgrounds, race, perspective, they tend to more creative and capable of solving complex problems because of their experiences. Diversity fuel fresh ideas and encourage innovation through collaborations. Workforce culture also is there. Inclusive environment attract and retain top talent, boost employer satisfaction, and foster collaborative atmosphere. This leads to higher morale and better overall productivity of the organization. Finally, legal compliance is the most essential consideration nowadays. Adhering to a diversity and inclusive policies help companies stay within legal framework, reducing the risk of lawsuits and protecting their regulation in society and aware of the marketplace. Now, Hafiz, my friend, will continue with the rest of the presentation.
Thank you very much, Usman. Uh, This slide presents an overview of diversity within the UK workforce, focusing on gender balance, ethnic diversity, leadership representation, and ongoing challenges. Starting with gender balance, the 2021 census shows an almost even split between males and females in England and Wales, with women representing 51% and men 49% of the population. The population pyramid on the right visually compares gender distribution by age groups in 2021 versus 2011. Next is the ethnic diversity. The majority of the population, around 81.7%, identified as white. The remaining 18.3% belong to black, Asian, mixed, or other ethnic backgrounds, indicating some level of ethnic diversity but also showing room for broader inclusion. The bar chart breaks down the distribution. Looking at leadership as of 2023, only 9% of FTSE 100 CEOs were women, with ethnic minority representation still lagging. They highlight significant underrepresentation in senior roles. However, there has been progress. By the end of 2021, 89 FTSE 100 companies met the Parker Review target of having at least one ethnic minority director. Despite this progress, challenges remain. Change in senior management diversity are slow, requiring further monitoring, targeted intervention, and supportive policies to maintain momentum and achieve lasting change. Next slide, please. This slide presents the key theories that underpin our understanding of diversity and inclusion in the workplace. First, we have social identity theory introduced by Thalfel and Turner in 1979. It suggests that individuals derive their self-concept from group membership, which shapes intergroup behaviors and dynamics. This theory is particularly relevant in the workplace setting, where belonging to certain social groups can influence perception and treatment. Closely related is the concept of in-group versus out-group bias. These biases can negatively impact representation, especially in leadership roles, and contribute to the systematic exclusion. Next, in the human capital theory proposed by Baker in 1964, this theory emphasizes the value of investing in diverse human capital to enhance organizational performance. It supports the idea that diversity brings a range of knowledge, skills, and experience that strengthen innovation, decision-making, and productivity. Together, these theories form the foundation of study. They help us understand the social and psychological roots of exclusion while highlighting how inclusive practices benefit business outcomes. In particular, social identity theory is crucial for recognizing the need to address structural bias and promote equity in leadership and organizational culture. Next slide, please. This slide focuses on the benefits of gender diversity in senior leadership, and they use Norway as a key example to illustrate successful policy invention. Norway's gender quota law, introduced in 2003, required at least 40% representation of each gender on corporate boards. This led to a significant shift in the composition of leadership teams in public limited companies. It helped normalize the presence of women in senior positions and encourage broader diversity in corporate decision making. However, progress remained uneven. As of 2021, women still held less than 20% of board positions in private limited liability companies, revealing that legislation had stronger effects in the public sector. Recognizing the gap, the Norwegian parliament expanded the quota law in 2023 to apply to more types of companies, reinforcing the 40% gender requirement. Norway's example highlights how legal measures can successfully promote gender equity in leadership, offering valuable lessons for countries aiming to close gender gaps in boardrooms and executive roles. Thank you very much, and I would like to Ali Raza to continue this presentation, please.
Thank you. The business case for ethnic diversity in senior leadership. This slide explores how ethnic diversity in leadership can bring significant advantage to organization while also highlighting existing challenges. Research shows that companies with ethnically diverse executive team often achieve stronger financial performance. This is not just about presentation, it's about the tangible business value diversity brings, such as improved profitability and broader market reach. However, despite this clear advantage, many companies still struggle with underrepresentation of ethnic minorities in senior roles. This gap points to ongoing systemic barrier and the need for more deliberate action to ensure equal opportunity for advancement. Some organizations are actively addressing these issues. For example, Google has launched diversity initiatives and performed partnerships to build more inclusive hiring and development strategies. Microsoft is also investing in community groups and internal programs designed to support the career growth of employees from underrepresented backgrounds. Next slide, please. Arguments for legislation 50% female senior management. This slide outlines several key reasons for legislation of 50% female representation in senior management roles. The idea behind such as legislation is to ensure leadership structures reflect the gender balance of society, which in turn support fairness and inclusivity within organizations. By mandating equal representation, it becomes possible to challenge deep-rooted system biases that often limit women's career progression, particularly into top-level decision-making positions. These legislation efforts can help reshape promotion practices, ensuring more equitable access to leadership roles. Beyond fairness, increasing female leadership also provides powerful role models for younger generation, showing that women can and do belong in high-level corporate positions. This visibility plays a crucial part in encouraging wider participation and shifting long-standing cultural expectations. Furthermore, gender diverse leadership teams bringing broader perspective, decisions, and organizational performance. Next slide, please. Arguments against legislation 50% female senior management. This slide highlights the key arguments often made against mandating 50% female representation in senior management. One major concern is that such courts many compromise meritocracy with criticize, arguing that roles should be filled based on qualification and experiences rather than gender target. This perspective emphasizes individually merit as the primary basis for leadership selection. Another argument revolves around business autonomy, with the opponents believing that companies should maintain the freedom to main and make hiring and promotion decision without government intervention. The argue that rigid courts may interfere with strategic flexibility and organizational need. Efficiency concerns are also raised, suggesting that prioritizing diversity over competence could impact overall productivity and effectiveness, especially if not implemented with care planning. Next slide, please. Yeah. Should we legislate for ethnic diversity in leadership? This slide represents both supportive and critical viewpoint on whether legislation should be used to promote ethnic diversity leadership. On one slide, legislation can play a key role in promoting representation by ensuring that individuals from a historically marginalized group have access to leadership positions. This fosters greater inclusivity and helps break long-standing structural barriers. Ethnic diversity ethnic diversity also bringing stronger decision making by bringing a wider range of experiences and perspective of the table. uh, overall, uh, overall, the question of whether to legislation for ethnic diversity in leadership, in compliance, and organizational change. And further, Kabir Nawaz will explain.
Hi. This slide shows the role of policy and legislation. This slide explains how policy and legislation shape what play diversity and inclusion. It began with the foundation or role of UK's Equality Act 2010, which provide legal protection against discrimination and ensure fair and treatment across all employees level. However, while an ongoing debate where voluntary diversity goal might be more effective in creating lasting cultural change. Voluntary inclusion can encourage organizations to embed inclusion and more automatically as impose to simply meeting competitive standard. Countries like Norway serves a strong example of how structural legal quotas such as 40% of the gender representative requires an corporate bound can successfully accelerate process in diversity representative, particularly in leadership. Yeah, legislation is just a piece of the puzzle. Corporate lead diversity initiate how shown great potential in driving not only social equality but also business performance and innovation, demonstrating that inclusion can be more advantage. Ultimately, the most effective approach blends legal enforcement with proactive internal strategies. This means companies should be beyond ticking boxes and adopt operation. Balancing competitive with a genuine commitment to inclusion is a key achieving sustainable and impactable change in the workforce diversity. Now the next slide is diversity strategies for the business. This slide highlights several practical strategies that a business can adopt to foster diversity and inclusion in the workplace. One of the most effective strategies starting point in through inclusion hiring practices such as blind recruitment and diverse internal interview panel, which help reduce biasness and provide fair candidate for the all over the background. Beyond hiring, mentorship and targeted training, representative groups represent women and minorities by helping them develop the skills and confidence need to more in the leadership roles. Another critical area is the unconscious bias training with rise in awareness among employees about how stereotypes and assumptions can influence workplace behavior and decision making. These sections are essential for promoting a more effective and representative environment. Flexible work policies can also increasingly recognized as a key to supporting diversity by offering options like remote work, accommodation employees with a variety of personal represent responsibilities and need contributing to a high job satisfaction. Lastly, having the diverse leadership not only improve decision making and business innovation, but also signals to employees, society itself. Together, these strategies form an competitive approach in the forward thinking decision making. Now, the next slide. The next slide is the future of the workplace diversity. This slide explores impairing trend and forward looking strategies that define a future of work for diversity. The many companies are now moving away from a simple meeting employee requirement and are instead setting voluntary diverse target. These effects are often derived by recognitions that include leadership, the leadership improve innovation and stronger financial performance. Workplace culture is also involved with a great focus on creating environments such beyond these quotas. Organizations are beginning to understand the genuine inclusion, enhance employee engagement, and promote creative and effective problem solving. In parallel, education and leadership development system programs are providing essential for long-lasting success, explaining in empowering in underrepresented groups with the tools and the support that need access for this creating organization. While legislation provides a foundation, it is a cultural change that ultimately drives lasting inclusion. Without this shift, organizations need to embed equality focused practice across all levels, particularly in the recruitment and in the promotion. The future of diversity also relies on structural change such as offering remote and flexible work options with the better spot diversity need. Now I will invite again Usman to conclude this presentation. Thank you.
Well, coming to a conclusion that brings together key points discussed throughout the presentation, emphasizing the diversity is not just a moral responsibility, but also a strategic business advantage. Diverse teams bring rich perspectives, foster innovations, and support lateral decision making, all of which are crucial for strong organizational performances. While legal frameworks such as Equality Acts provide an essential foundation for inclusion, long-term impact stems for genuine cultural transformation within workplaces. Organizations need to be moved beyond compliance and create environment where diversity is actively valued and nurtured. A merit-based system must be maintained, but it should coexist with mechanisms that remove systematic barriers and ensure fairness in each and every opportunity provided. Encouraging diversity, flexible targets rather than rigid quotas can give business the agility they need while still promoting presentation representation. The most effective strategy is one of the blend legislation, policy, and cultural change, creating inclusive practices that are sustainable and rooted to the organizational values. This allows the companies to remain competitive, attract the top talent, and build resilient teams that reflect the diversity of the society they serve. Ultimately, when businesses embed diversity in their strategic planning and leadership models, they not only meet ethical expectations but also unlock long term growth and innovation across all levels. In a nutshell, in the present world, it is not a want, rather a necessity to be a diverse organization. Thank you all, and that's the end of our presentation.